Hey, welcome back to the show. You're listening to the David F. House podcast. In this podcast, episode 144, I sit down with my good buddy and lifelong friend, James Knapp, who is the co-owner of Knapp Fords out in beautiful downtown Essex. We talk about stories when we were kids, having fun, washing cars in the back, but we also dive deep into what makes James tick. And we even uncover two types of personalities. He's one and I'm the other. And how that personality trait led to our eventual success for both of us. So I hope you enjoy the podcast, and thanks for watching. I'm back in my old stomping ground, Knapp Ford.
Welcome home.
Beautiful downtown Essex.
Yeah, that's our tagline. You got it, man.
I know, I remember.
Yeah.
You and I met, long time ago. I was like...
So we swear on this?
Oh, we swear like crazy.
Oh, okay. Well, I'll be a little slow to swear.
Yeah, you don't have to swear.
Okay.
I'll swear.
Okay,
I'll do the swearing for us.
Yeah,
which seems to be kind of like the theme of our relationship for the last however many years.
You're the bad boy?
I'm the swearer.
Yeah, you're the bad guy? Okay.
No. I was the angry guy, and so...
You're the guy that probably should have gotten us fired from here a few times. It's a good thing my dad protected us.
Well, yeah, we did. We did have your dad that protected us, which was nice. But that's how we ended up meeting. Was when I got the job here at Knapp Ford, Bob Blair hired me.
That's right.
Yep. I got an in from my grandfather, even though he was not alive anymore. But somehow I got in here. Got an interview with Bob. Then I had an interview with your dad. And actually, the interview with your dad was like literally hilarious because your dad was actually in this office, and I think he just probably had a policy of like just meeting all the new employees. Right?
We still do. I do second interviews for everybody.
Beautiful. So like I'm just a kid that's going to wash cars and whatever. So I'm sitting here in front of Ken Knapp, who's like in like the town of Essex is like a well-known guy. Ken Knapp Fords is like, when you're a kid too, it's like you think that a guy that owns a Ken Knapp Ford is like he's a billionaire. that's what you think, right?
Sure.
And so he's like this super intimidating guy. Plus Ken is like a big stature, kind of like big guy. He's 6'4" or something like that.
Carries himself big.
Yeah,
still
does. He does. Yes, yeah. Even still to this day, yes. And so I'm like this little kid having this interview with him. So then he's just asking me the dumbest questions. Like I think he's just basically fucking with me. And so,
he's been known to do that. Yeah.
And so one of the questions somehow we got on homeless people. And he says, "Well, what do you think we should do?"
In a job interview?
Yeah.
Oh,
so he
boy.
said, "What do you think we should do about homeless people, Dave?" I was like, I'm fucking 16 years old, and I'm like, I'm walking. I'm like, I think there's, if we have more people like you, that are, well off. I was like, you could help out the homeless people. It was my answer. So somehow I still got the job. But anyways,
that's a tough question to answer. That's a tough question. I think politicians and government agencies are working on that every day, all day, and they don't have the answer. I know in LA they put homeless people in Skid Row, and that doesn't seem to be good. And yet some people would say, well, it's better off to be hidden and not seen. So that's a tough one.
I know. So he puts me on
tough answer for a 14-year-old. Or no, we were 17. I had a license.
So I think I had just turned maybe 17 or something like that. But
anyways, that led to me getting the job here,
which one of my favorite jobs I have had a lot of jobs. I started young as getting jobs, but this was like for sure of all the jobs that I had. Like I had some cool jobs. Like I worked at Silver Tea with Ray Mannion, who was a customer out here. We used to clean his car. Mm-hmm. That was a cool job, driving the tractor, picking up golf balls. But this job, I love this job just because, I love cars as a kid. And then we had like a great crew, like, just cleaning cars, just having the time of our lives back there.
Yeah.
Probably could have been working a little harder.
Probably should have been fired.
Multiple times.
Yeah, it's one of those things where, they say, do as I say, not as I do.
Yes.
I find, but you know what that did? That equipped me now as a leader in this organization to snuff out people like I used to be. And, probably not go so hard on them because I know the mentality.
Yeah.
But try to correct that behavior before it gets to the level where we were, which was too much goofing off.
Let me tell you one story about that I have. It's not a bad one, don't worry. But so we were notorious for like just creating games all the time. Like we were always, even if it was while we were doing work. Like I remember we tried to see how many cars we could wash in like an hour and a half window or something like that, and we were like zipping cars in and out. This is not the story. This is another story. We were zipping cars in and out of the bay and like rinsing them off as we're backing them out of the bay. And Bob comes back. He's like, "What the hell are you guys doing back here?" We're like, "Bob, we're trying to get these cars clean." But anyways, that was not
like
the
a
story.
pit stop.
Yeah. So one day I'm in there. I'm washing cars. I'm like slaving, back there and cleaning the cars. It's car after car. And I'm like. Where the fuck is James? He's like, he's supposed to be fucking helping us back here. Like we're doing, I can't remember what we were doing. Like maybe we were doing were prepping for deliveries or something along those lines.
Mm-hmm.
And you were supposed to be helping us. I'm like, where the fuck is James? And then after like about an hour and a half, you come walking into the wash bay. You're like, come with me. Come show me. Let me show you what I did. And I'm like, yeah, I'm wondering what you've been doing, kind of thing. We walk out into the field where the grass was, right? You had been on the lawnmower for an hour and a half, and what you had done was written your name.
Yeah, I did a signature.
With the lawnmower. There's a lot of grass. It's like you could see this thing from outer space. It was so gigantic.
Yeah, that's a lot of property.
Oh yeah, and I mean, and I couldn't even be angry. It was just impressive.
It was good.
Like it was like really.
You got to really work on those P's to make them loop nice. You know.
Oh my god. Yeah. So, anyways, he had written his signature in the field. Was one of the responsibilities we had was just to cut the grass, but he was supposed to be cutting the grass apparently, and then comes in and shows me his gigantic signature that you could see from outer space. So yeah, that's
if we they didn't have drones back then, but if we did, we would have had to film that.
Oh, 100%.
Get some footage of that signature.
Yeah, we got the drone here. Maybe we'll recreate it.
I think so. We still have the property. It's not developed yet.
Okay. All right. Perfect. But anyway, so that's kind of like where you and I, basically became friends. I was a few years older than you, and then we've stayed friends ever since. And I think we've always had the friendship. And I think a lot of guys, have that friendship as well, where it's like it's not like we have to talk every day, but then we like get together, and it's just like we left off where we were,
right where you were.
Yeah, 5 years ago or whatever.
No doubt.
It was.
Yeah.
So, and then we also had some good times when you were going to school in Texas, and came out and visited there.
Graduated from Texas A&M, 2004.
Yeah. So, anyways, enough about us, though. The reason we're here is to talk about you and Knapp Ford
and business
and life and everything. And so, I guess where I wanted to start the conversation with was like one of the things that I've always like admired about you, and I think you stood in my wedding, and one of the things I said at my wedding about you was that like I've always kind of like admired your ability to kind of like remain like really like focused on like what the task at hand is. It's like you've kind of always like everything you kind of do, you're successful at in some ways. Like it's like you're running this company, and like you've turned into this great success. You're in good shape. You're good and consistent of that. You're a good golfer. And so it's like I always admired, and I think I said it to you before, and like that robotic nature about you a little bit. And then you said, "Oh, I admire your free spirit, kind of, Dave." And I was like, "Yeah, okay, I kind of get it." But like I just liked how you were able to like just lock in on something and then have like I don't even know if you have a long vision. I want you to explain it, but just to have a long vision or not a long vision. And then you just know that if you keep staying that course, you're going to end up having success. Maybe that's not the way you think about it, but that's what I've always noticed from an outsider looking in, that you just had the ability to kind of do that.
Yeah. Okay. Well, thanks. It's a great compliment. So now you want me to explain some of that?
Well, just like, where does that come from? Like how like, cause I've always been a guy that like a squirrel, like, oh, attention over here. Like, and so it's like, that's part of the reason why you're more successful than me, because you've been able to like focus on like, just, hey, I'm going to run this car dealership and that's what I'm going to do. And like, that's all you did. And because of that, you've had huge success with it. And then you did the same with like exercise and the same with golf. And I was doing 25 things and you're like, I'm fucking golfing.
Yeah. So I guess maybe they say like the jack of all trades versus the expert of one or the expert of none, So jack of all trades, expert of none, or jack of all trades. And maybe I'm a little more zoned in on fewer things. I never really thought of it that way. But so for instance, I just mentioned that I went to school in Texas there. So I thought I had this opportunity to go to a school that maybe a lot of people don't have. Like we had the means to do that, or I had the means to do that. So I could travel and go to a place that was special, and experience a new culture. And I thought to myself, this is pricey, and I knew it. So for that reason, I said, I'm going to make the most of this, but I'm not going to waste it. So I'm going to get phenomenal grades. So I'm going to really zone in and focus and study, so that, you see a lot of people who get to go away to school. Like, I'm going to go to the University of Hawaii, and I'm going to have one amazing semester, party my head off, and then come home with my tail between my legs. That might not be so fun. Yeah. So I thought, let's make it 4 amazing years, and maybe rather than just go all in on the partying, let's focus and make sure you get straight A's, so that you don't cut off your supply of funding, so to speak. Right. So then you get into business. I had the opportunity to come back and what my dad said was, now if you're going to, he didn't even say you're going to run dealership one day. He kind of waited for me to say, I think I'm ready. And he never said, like, do you want to take it over? I said, I think I want to work here. And he said, well, if you have any aspirations to do anything more than just a frontline job, then you have to sell cars. You have to be able to understand and empathize with the customer and the frontline people. So the frontline people in our organization are the salespeople, and the technicians are kind of the core of that. Like, we don't sell parts unless we fix cars. We don't sell parts unless we sell cars. We don't clean cars unless we sell cars. You know what I mean? We don't generate trade-ins to resell. So that's like the frontline people, our F&I managers. Me today, the fact that I get to be interviewed by you and you're saying that we've had some success, that doesn't happen unless somebody's out there selling cars, which they're doing right now.
Yeah, that's right.
So that's the front line. So I had to do that. And then, so when my dad said, okay, you're going to sell some cars. And I didn't like it. I still don't want to sell cars. And I say that to the car salespeople here. I say, you guys have to go out there and get that rejection. Like, some customers still view car salespeople as a threatening experience or a terrible experience to deal with a car salesperson or come into a car lot. So they get a lot of rejection. They get a lot of people who don't trust them, and they get a lot of. You think the dating world's full of ghosting. Car sales is like that too, especially when you meet somebody for the first time. If you're new in the business, I have people here that only deal with repeat business. So I have a ton of respect for car salesmen. I really do. So I was one. But when I did it, so getting back to your question, I know I've kind of gone all the way around the horn to get to the answer.
Sure.
I viewed car sales as something, I have to do this right, and I have to take it so seriously, and I have to prove myself, because I think a lot of people are looking at second generation and saying, now you're going to get in there, get in the mud with us. First you clean cars, you've been around here, kind of the boss's son, maybe a little bit cocky. Had a car when I was 17 years old, a brand new car. It's like, oh, well, what'd you do to deserve that? And now it's like, now where the metal hits the road, sell some cars. And I did, and I did good in my first year. And, I probably had the opportunity of dealing with some of my dad's friends that always knew me. So, I think that could be viewed as like I had a little bit of an edge, because I had a leg up because people knew me, and they said, when you see, oh, that's the boss's son, maybe I'll get a little better deal. With that said, I took it really seriously, and I practically never left here.
So, just kind of me sitting back and hearing that story, it's like, do you feel like that part of that focus that you've kind of had, whether you see it or not, it's like, that's what I see from the outside looking in, comes from like this place of, having like a successful father who was already running a successful business, and the sense of like, hey, like, I don't want to let him down or dismiss this opportunity that I've been given, kind of thing. And so it's like you go to school and you're like, I'm going to do this because I want to show my dad, like, I'm grateful for what he's given me. You come to the car salesman, I don't think we were doing it in the wash bay, but
no, we were, that was the carefree junior years where, if a car was a little bit dirty, it probably wasn't the end of the world.
Sure. Yeah. So do you think there is a sense of like, like that, whatever, wanting to reciprocate, the opportunities you've been given, or like, is that like what it is? It's like, that has like just been able, like, you've just been able to like keep your head down and like get shit done. Like, you're saying you're not seeing it, but like, you did it in school, you did it in golf, you did it as a car salesman, you did it as a used car manager, like, you just kept on like just performing. Right. And so it's like, intuitively, you probably have a sense of like what it was that kind of guided you to like perform at a high level, and like,
I think this is something I've given some thought to over the years, and I view it as, there's probably more than one, like academics would say there's probably more than two types, but just like my rudimentary view on it is there's two types of people that tend to succeed. And I group myself in the group that's afraid of failure. So then, like, let's say using something a little bit more simple, like golf, like I walk up to a 2-foot putt and I say to myself, it would be so embarrassing to miss this 2-foot putt. I would be like say it's, to close out a match or to win a couple of skins or a couple of dollars, you'd be like, oh, I'd be so embarrassed if I missed this 2-foot putt. And sometimes you're playing in a tournament, like I played in the odd tournament where, you know, it comes down to the final few holes. So you start to get a little crowd. And I'm talking PG. I'm not talking PG. I'm talking 50 people. You know what I mean? Who all played in the tournament, who probably aren't even paying attention. They're just being there to be nice. And I'm like, oh, I couldn't miss this putt in front of those people. So that's where, like, you know, from the car sales thing, I was like, I have to do it because it'll be so embarrassing if I don't live up to the Knapp legacy. Like my grandfather sold cars, like one of the best. My dad is an amazing salesperson and an amazing, you know, at building rapport with people and connecting. And you know, my brother was already doing really well in the business too. So I was like, oh, don't be the other one, you know, the loser. You know what I'm saying?
I think you're hitting the nail on the head. I think that was a motivation for you.
There's other people that, you know, not the 2-foot putt. They look at like the ability to, like, so they're on a par 5 and they hit a good drive, you know, a 280-yard drive down the middle or whatever your big number is. And then they're like, what if I get on this par 5 and 2? Oh, that'll be so satisfying. So they crave success. They're like, oh, if I could eagle this hole. And then in fitness, if I can, like, you know, have abs, or like in car sales, what if I can sell 25? I didn't look at it like, if I sell 25 cars this month, I'm going to hit the big bonus. And then I'm going to, you know, hit the extra levels of commission. I viewed it as, if I only sell 8, I'll be embarrassed. So I don't think it's as fun going through your journey being afraid of failure. It's not as fun, and that's where I looked up to people that, like, just like are always trying to get to the next level because it's going to feel so good when they get there. You know, like, I have my first 20 car sales month. Then I'm going to buy myself a new XYZ, a new whatever. And then there's the other folks that that like there's the folks that coast and maybe don't care. They're like, oh, you know what? As long as I make a good living, I would say I'm more the person that is going to reflect on it, and I really focus heavily on my failures. Like, anytime I viewed a particular event as a failure, I can tell you, going back to school, I had a time when I had like an A on a test that I think the class average was like 70. And I just happened to understand the material. Like, I'm not saying I'm brilliant, that's for sure. But I just happened to understand the material really well. And then shortly after, a couple months after, I failed the test. And I mean, I was a different person for like 2 months. I was just like dwelling on it. And like, all I could think of, it kept me up at night. Failed one test. So yeah, the fear of failure is a motivator. But I think the funner motivator is for sure craving success. So I've tried to switch gears. You can't change the person you are. But I think it would be important, you know, for an individual to look within themselves and say, like, how am I wired? You know, am I the type of person that takes failure and just like beats myself into success, which would be kind of how I would do it? Or am I the type of person that you know, just love succeeding? And that's one of the things that I would look up to you on, because I think that you're always looking at the next venture as like the opportunity to achieve. And like the Lungo Vita experiment, like what I would have called an experiment, you know, no insult. I think you've taken it to the next level. But like, you didn't have experience in that. You know, you're a bar guy. You know what I mean? And then you've decided, like, you're like, I have passion for motivating and for spirituality and meditation and helping people. And I thought to myself, like, yeah, but you don't have a lot of experience in that. When you started, you do now. But you know, that's where, like, it's like, what if you fall flat on your face? And I don't think you really look at that. No, and like I do.
Yeah, and I'm definitely one thing I do realize about myself, and I think that, like, that was super insightful what you said, that kind of like these two types of people, because I never kind of looked at it like that. Like, I am definitely not afraid of failure, right? And so, like, I mean, this is like, you know, going back to like picking up girls. Like, I would talk to any girl, like, didn't matter how hot she was.
You absolutely would.
Yeah, right. And so it's
you
like,
absolutely would.
And so
I was so shy. You were the best. Like, not the wingman. Yeah, I could be your wingman. That was fun.
Yeah,
I don't know if we don't necessarily need to get into that, but it was a fun time.
Let's not go down that road. But I've always been like very much like a build the plane while fly it. And if the plane crashes, fine, I'll just, you know, pick up the parts and start building and get in the air again, right? And so, but the thing is, this is the point I wanted to make, is that, you know, you beat yourself up into success out of the not wanting to feel failure, right? And so, let's just say, for lack of a better word, that caused a lack of happiness in some regards. But my lack of happiness was, I thought happiness was when I would get the success. So we are both in a not happy state for whatever it may be. And I'm not saying we're not happy. I think we're both pretty happy guys, but for two different reasons, right? Mm-hmm. Yours of not wanting to fail. And so it's like, I can't fail. And that causes misery in some ways. Mine is I have to succeed because if I don't, I'm going to stay where I'm at, which is miserable, right? And so I think both of us have come to the awareness on our older age of like, hey, we can be happy right now in this moment. And if you probably say, if failure comes, I'll deal with it and I'll be okay. And you don't beat yourself up as much worrying about the failures coming. And I, on the other hand, I'm like now have let go of the needing to get to the next level for happiness. I recognize I can be who I want to be right now. I'm still striving to build things. I'm building things at Lungo Vita, but it is no longer the primary source of my happiness getting to that destination, right? And so what I'm getting at is that we were both kind of like in some ways being hard on ourselves and not probably enjoying life as much as we could be because of that thing. Now, granted, that thing for both of us, it worked out pretty good. Right, because it led us to where we're at, and I'm grateful for everything that all of that pushing and everything that I did because it led me to this place to realize that I can stop the pushing. So I don't have to push so hard, and I still end up pretty much getting what I want. Is the way I've kind of seen it. So,
well put.
Yeah, it's just an interesting insight, and this is what I want to get to in these podcasts. It's like I don't want to just like have like fluffy answers. Like I want to get to the root of like what's going on, and it's great that you already did that introspection to be like, oh yeah, like I'm realizing there's these two types of people in the world, and which is like, I've kind of never heard it that way. And so to recognize that your mechanism to stay focused and be successful has been to make sure you don't fail.
Yeah. Well,
right.
Even on that example, to expand on it even further, like you look at, the fitness side of it, like we're going to have our Jingle Bell run this week. And like, I would feel like pissed off if I can't go under a particular time on my 5K. Because I'm like, but you're getting older.
Yeah.
That's actually my wife who said to me, she said like she does a lot of jogging. She's into fitness. She's had 2 knee surgeries because we are getting older. Yeah. And she just said, yeah, but I just always want to be the best version of myself. Like the best. So, if I live to be 90, God willing, am I going to be like the baddest ass 90-year-old? Am I still going to be able to finish 19 holes and walk? Maybe not. Maybe I'll have to take a cart, but will I be, pushing to be the best version of 90? Not the best version of 25 because you're definitely going to be disappointed then.
Yes.
So, in our 40s, like, the beer belly's coming, but not yet,
Well, and I think a lot of that is like what beliefs you buy into, If you buy like, I've heard this before. It's like, oh, once you hit this age, this is when you're going to start feeling this. And I just never bought into that.
Yeah, you're programmed to have these different phases. Like, you're, this is when you won't be able to jog anymore. And I do believe a time will come when I won't be able to jog. Yeah. I love it. I love going for a nice run, but you don't see too many people in their 60s jogging.
No,
I don't know why that is, but
it's because they bought into the belief that you can't jog after 60.
Possibly, I think there's probably some pain coming too.
Yeah,
maybe.
But you bought into the belief that there's pain. That like it's like I think you can. Like, there's all kinds of videos of like yogis that are like fucking 90 years old, putting their leg above their head and stretching and doing all these things. It's like it's all what we're programmed to believe in, and we take these unconscious programs on, and so it's just like you just allow yourself to believe whatever you want. So, but you have to be aware of what you're bringing into your belief systems. That's the thing, and most of the times we're taking belief systems on, and we don't even realize we're doing it. Like, oh, you're just going to start slowing down when you get older. Well, are you? Because I could show you 100 examples of. I just saw a video the other day of this old 90-something 5-year-old like old boxer that runs every day, and as he's running, he's boxing. I don't know if you saw this video, but this guy's like super old, like really old, and he's like moving faster than I move. And I was like, oh, there's this like a switch in like the belief systems that I bought into, So
yeah, it's, actually, I'm already changing my my. Well, I mean, that's why I said you're challenging, and I said, yeah, actually, good point. There's no reason just because less people are doing it. I'd say that's a fact.
Yeah,
less people in their 90s are jogging than there are in their 20s 100%. Or 30s, and yet certainly not impossible. So
not at all.
Well put. Yeah.
Look, you mentioned the Jingle Ball Run, and that was like always an event that you guys just did such a good job of like just putting on, and like one of the things that I think has probably led to the success of Knapp Ford is like just how involved you are in like the community, and you guys are just really in there. Like you're really in there, I would say.
I think so.
Yeah. And who my other buddy that really did a good job of like like giving back is Tony Smith. Like he does like this rowathon. They fill the WFCU center of, hundreds and hundreds of people. They raise like 150 grand,
No joke.
Oh yeah. It's
awesome.
like, it's a huge event. And it's like, this is what I think a lot of young entrepreneurs miss, especially, is because they get so focused on making the money that they miss the whole real spiritual concept that is, it is in giving that you receive, right? And it's not that you give with the expectation of receiving, but you just give because it's just like the good thing to do, and you feel good about it, and it's like not with the expectation of I'm going to sell some cars out of this thing, right? It's just like we want to be involved and part of this community, and I think because of that, it's like, I think Knapp Ford this has like a good reputation. It's like, I know so many people, like now I live in Windsor, I know so many people that come out here to buy their cars, right? It's like, why the fuck are you driving out to Essex to buy a car, right? There's a reason. And I think it's part of like, because of that community aspect that you guys have always had. And so many people just overlook that giving part, right? It's like, there's just so much value in giving. You could probably do no advertising and just focus on giving, and you'd probably be successful. So like, I guess the question is like, what have you seen come from the giving? We know you guys give, right? But what good have you seen come from the giving on both ends of the spectrum, like with respect to like just the feel good and with respect to like the business success from it?
I'm going to quote my Aunt Mary on this one.
Okay.
She's our general sales manager, and she's super cultured. So like, she reads all the time, and reading business publications is tough for me. Like at the end of the day, I don't tend to do that. However, my Aunt Mary and my dad do. And then I have a coffee with them every morning. They tell me all the stuff that they read and what I should know. Yeah. So I don't know whose quote this is, but I can tell you it's not an original James. It comes from my Aunt Mary. And she said, advertising is the tax paid for not being remarkable.
Yeah, I love that.
Yeah, it's pretty cool, right? So she told me that the one day, and I said, well, how does that fit into what we do? Yeah. And, if you have to be on there saying, okay, we got 0%, we got 10,000 off, we got this, and, people do want a deal, of course. There's no question about that. However, if you have a special experience and you're remarkable and you can count on everybody talking about it, and you probably have an experience in your life, like a particular place you go, like a restaurant, that does something special that like nobody ever saw a commercial for it.
No.
I can't think of that example at the moment, but like I'm sure there's a particular place you go that didn't have to advertise to get you in the door because somebody said, "Hey, man, you got to go to that place." Yeah. If you're, I
got the place. Let me tell a quick side.
Yeah, hit it.
Vittorio is the place called Vittorio's in Forest Glade. Right.
Okay.
And now there's a new owner now, but the guy that owned it, Vittorio, they had the most amazing food. The most amazing family-run business, just welcoming, like it felt like you're at an Italian dinner, right?
Yeah.
The worst service in the history of the service was actually so bad that I offered to help him create a POS system so that they could take orders quicker and stuff. Because like literally, you would go in there, you'd be in there for 3 hours. Like it was ridiculous, but busy all the time, right? And so it's like, if you're good enough at what you do, you're never going to have to spend $1 on advertising. People are just going to come. And in his case, if like you're so good, the food is so good, and you're so welcoming, they don't care that the service is like literally. This is not to like really harp on this. One day we were waiting for our food for so long, right? And I finally said, like, I'm like, hey, like Vittorio, like what's going on? Like where's Paulo or the son, right? Who's like 13 taking your order.
Yeah.
He looks outside, his son's riding his bike in the parking lot. And he's supposed to be taking our order. Like that's the way it was.
On break.
He's on break, riding
his
bike
bicycle break
in the parking lot. And so it was, but we sat there and we actually laughed and had fun about it. Like anybody else, and he also had this mentality, which was interesting, where it's like if you complained to him about the service, he would be like, "Get the fuck out of my restaurant."
It's like what's funny? I was thinking of the soup Nazi example.
Yeah,
on,
it was
Jerry
very
Seinfeld,
much like that.
On the Seinfeld show, when it was like, you have this. So we don't manufacture cars,
right?
So unlike he makes his food. So his food has to be exceptional, but the F-150 rolls off the line, and there's great dealers, Ford dealers in Essex County. So we have to make our experience special. Yeah. Nobody's really weak at what they do. Yeah. So our level of service has to be awesome. So like, that's where it was Mary who we have a dog park here.
Yeah, right.
And so we're super dog friendly. And some people are allergic to dogs, and some folks are afraid of dogs. So that's where we might ask you, say, hey, we love the dogs, but right now we have somebody here who's not comfortable with dogs. So that's why we have a dog park. Go outside and sit and wait by the dog park. Hopefully the weather's good. Because, that's something that's a little bit different. Our coffee is the absolute best. These are just material things, but we encourage similar, like a lot of the stuff, you're out there, you're not the original inventor of this process, but, we've trained on it now. I can't remember the name. What's the big hotel chain? The Ritz-Carlton. Yeah. So Ritz-Carlton says you can't cross somebody, go 10 feet away from them without saying hello. Yeah. So you're walking through the organization. And that goes for employees too. Yeah. So, the giving aspect, then, through charity and things like that, like in our business, it's actually kind of easy. You could spend, like it used to be, for one full page in Windsor Star cost $10,000 at one time. I know print media is a little bit off because everything's changed to e-business, but that was a good example at the time. Yeah. And then, you're going to draw in a customer that doesn't like you, trust you, believe you. They're going to be somebody that, just like, well, here's a deal on a truck. It's normally 50 grand, it's down to 45 grand. Those are old prices. Yeah. Unfortunately, trucks, you can't get them for those hot deals anymore. They're like, wow, it's off, a little bit of money. So let's go check it out. But that becomes the starting price. And of course, they want the most for the trade-in. And then, so that ends up being a really low margin, like markup on that particular sale. And then, nobody feels really great about it. You didn't get a relationship. And you spent $10,000 on the ad to bring in probably the lowest margin sale you can have. Right. So then here's the most interesting piece, though. That customer comes in 3 weeks later and discovers that, like, I don't know, there was like a hairline scratch on the vehicle. And I think it was there when I bought it. And a lot of dealers would say, hey, you've had it for 3 weeks, you didn't notice it, so I guess you're on your own. Right. And in our case, maybe we're going to save on that $10,000 ad. So we're not going to draw you in with that $10,000 advertisement. And we're going to risk fixing a scratch that might have been there. Or maybe the customer caused a scratch and said, let's see if they'll pay. I've only had it for 3 weeks. And we're going to risk fixing it, even though you might have done it. Yep. Because, in the $10,000 example, like, it costs you a lot of money to get that customer in the door, and then you're going to make them go for polishing out a $100 scratch. Yes. So the flip side of that is take care of them. I mean, some people are going to be unreasonable, and then eventually you do have to draw a line, of course, and say, hey, there's no chance that this happened, we didn't notice it. Like literally your headlight's missing. Yes. That didn't leave here like that. But
there has to be boundaries. But
try to look at it through the lens of erring on the side of the customer. And then what turns up happening, if you're actually selfish, let's say you are, try to be, but let's say you are, and you're just in it for profit, you're actually going to make more in the long run doing it that way. Yeah, right. So, that's where the example of advertising is the tax paid for not being remarkable really fits, because and that's where you can invest in your people too. Like, I fly a lot. I fly Delta as often as I can. I really like them. There's some other airlines I don't like. I'm not going to name names. Maybe their planes are yellow. I'm not sure. So anyway, when you go up to the counter, we've all had it where you check in for a flight and you have that person, who's there typing, and you try to check in. And they don't even look at you. They're like, give me your ID. Yeah. You got any bags? Yeah, okay, put them on the thing, would you? And, you're like, oh, do you have a pen? No, I don't have a pen. And then, and then you get on the flight, you get there safely, you have your trip, it's okay. But like, I don't know why you couldn't be nice to me, Mm-hmm. And then what's funny is people will actually not go back to that airline or that organization based on that one experience with one person. Yeah. That one person's like turning off so many people. Right. That's where, from a business aspect, it's all about your team. I'd much rather train on, somebody who's not competent but shares our values. Like, you cannot train somebody to smile and maintain eye contact and be share our values, which is people don't care how much you know until they know how much you care. We talk about that a lot. Yeah. So, for instance, you come in here and you just bought an F-150 and this is one that can happen. It's somewhat common. Your windshield cracks. And a rock comes up and hit it. Maybe you didn't even hear it, or maybe you did. You're just like, oh, not everything's okay, but there's a small crack. And then when the weather changes, hot, cold, moisture, eventually that crack expands. Yeah. So you come in and say, hey, I think this is a stress crack. This is related to a defect in the manufacturing of the vehicle. So I think under warranty. I should get a new windshield. You drive a new truck from here. So if you came in like that and said, I think I get a new windshield, how would you feel if my service person said to you, that's not a defect. Look, there's a big crack right there where you hit something.
Yeah.
You got to pay for a windshield. It's $800. Hand it over. Would that feel awesome?
Yeah.
Probably not so good.
Yeah.
Whereas if you inform them, empathizing and show them that you care and say, we can submit some photos to Ford and see. They always want photos, and they always ask me to run my pen along the crack and see if there's any indentation. And unfortunately, in this case, when I do that, there is a little bit of indentation.
Yes.
That's evidence that some external factor, maybe you hit something. A rock, maybe you didn't even realize it. Maybe you parked on the side of the street and a rock hit it. But unfortunately, see that here? That can't be created by a defect. It's not just because of expansion, contraction, bad glass.
Yes.
It's actually had a small spot that started, you might not have been aware of it, and then it spread. So I think we're going to hear no from the warranty side of it.
Yeah.
So can we quote you on a replacement windshield? And, the result's the same. You're going to have to pay for a windshield.
Yes.
However, you're
you're explaining it to the customer, you're informing them, and
you're showing them that you care.
Yes, 100%.
You're on their side, and yet the result is the same. We don't control what gets paid for by Ford. So you're talking about giving to baseball teams, giving to charity, giving back to the community in other ways. But there's also just giving your customers good information, good communication. And we struggle with communication. Like there's probably a customer that's going to watch here and say, I didn't get a call back. Maybe you didn't get a call back from me. I've been guilty of it. But at least to know, take ownership for it. If you miss a call back to somebody, I probably apologize at least once a week. The phone gets busy. Right now it's unplugged, so could be somebody calling.
Someone's calling me. My windshield.
That windshield issue, and they're like, see, he's preaching that he's going to call me back, and he didn't call me back. So I'm not claiming to be perfect, but at least try to fulfill those values.
Right. What do you think it is? This will be kind of we'll kind of wrap it up. I don't know how long we're doing. What are we doing for time, Zach? Here. Oh, perfect. Yeah, this is where I feel. See, I just feel it. I don't even have to know.
It's about a 40-minute thing.
Yeah, it's about 40 minutes usually. Yeah. So, but we have time. We can go as long as we want. But this is the thing that I'm interested in now. It's because you're the co-owner leader of Knapp Ford, right? And so it's what because there's this interesting thing that I've come across recently, and I'd like to kind of get a feel for where you're at. When I was in my early days of running companies like Treehouse back in the day, I was in the operations. I was bartending, sweeping the floors, running the ad. I was doing it all. Literally had my fingers in every single thing, right?
And then, took a bottle washer.
Yeah, 100%. Yeah, I did it all. And so then I shifted to stepping out of operations more, and then kind of just being the managing of the staff that I had in place and letting them do their jobs to operate the business.
Sure.
Right. And that took me, It took me 15 years to do that at Treehouse, to finally pull myself.
Stop micromanaging.
Yeah, 100%.
Yeah.
And so then at Lungo Vita, I put that same system. It's not a system. It's just that mentality, whatever you want to call it, in place in a matter of a year and a half, where I'm basically have nothing to do with operations out there, right? I have my team and they're operating. And now, so I'm focused on essentially just one thing, which I believe, and it's not one. I want to move to one. It's I'm focused on marketing, leads, and overall strategy, right? And so I'm kind of doing those three things. And so I heard this thing, there's people that are involved with fulfillment of whatever it is that you're selling, right? So it's you're fulfilling, making sure you deliver the cars and the service. So there's the fulfillment people, and then there's the sales people, and then there's the leads people, right? And so you have to, the people that are at the top of the top are only focused on one thing, which is leads potentially, right? And they could also be focused on sales and also allocate the leads, right? But what I'm interested in is people that are operating at high levels is what are you doing with your day? What is it? What is it? Because you are obviously not, fixing cars and selling cars, right? You are managing you have delegated that all out to your sales team and your service team and all of that, right? And so what does it look like to be at the top of a pretty large organization?
Yeah, that's a good question.
Yeah. What do you what do you see your role as besides just leader? What is the leader doing?
Are you a Lions fan?
Yeah.
You're loving what they're doing, right?
Oh yeah.
How many snaps has Dan Campbell taken?
Yeah, 0. Yeah.
How many passes did he throw this year? How many balls did he run? How many blocks did he make? How many punts did he kick?
Yeah.
Not too many. And I didn't fix a car this year. I don't know how to change oil. I probably could do it, feel my way through it, but like with a technician showing me, and I can sell cars. That's the pathway I took through the business. So
you can also wash them.
Yeah, I can wash them. I can do that. I've done that. So, I think we're supposed to stick to the values. So my job daily is to create a team. And the team, I want them to have the vision, the culture, and we have individual departments here right now that are rocking on all 8 cylinders, but it's very difficult to get all departments. So if you look at like a true team, and I call the staff here the team, like I think that's our greatest asset, especially in something like what we do. We do not design these cars. We don't manufacture them. We are in the service business. So to make sure that we're fulfilling the vision, and the managers are highly empowered here. So, I keep them on track. They come and bounce ideas off me. The more experienced they are, the less I intervene. So right now we have a newer manager over in used cars who I'm spending more time with. I've done that job. But even like the technicians, and Justin's our service manager, he's really good. He's phenomenal. And the technicians want to hear from him because he has the ability to talk to them on their level. So we do a lot of like one-on-one talking about, what's going good and what's going wrong. So I have a lot of meetings with my team and just make sure they're on track and enforce what our values are, which I talked about already, a few of them, which was making sure, that customers are focused on what we do, showing the customer that we care. And then I'm an outlet. So to those customers. So there's always gray. Like I view this industry, like I think a lot of highly bureaucratic businesses have an answer for everything. There's a manual, it's like this thick. And I think we live in the gray. We truly do. So, there's going to be a situation that arises that we just don't have an answer for. And I help with that problem solving. So the customer's encouraged to email me, to call me, and just find out like what that pulse is of how it's going. So I'm pretty proud to say the vast majority don't call and don't text. And that means things went well. Some of them just text to say, hey, you probably don't get a lot of positive texts, which the vast majority are negative. Like, you tend to reach out when it's negative. However, some just say, just let you know, everything's awesome again. So thank you, move on. But a lot of that type of coaching, like I view my role as a coach. So, on rare occasion, I'll go through one of my managers. Usually, I always ask for the permission. I'll say, like, if Mary is working with an individual salesperson, and I say, can I intervene on that and work with them one-on-one? But I would never go around that person without permission. So then I'll work with the sales staff on occasion. And I don't want the text just because I can't train them, because that's not the area of the business that I know. But I like getting down there and getting gritty.
This is something that I've been feeling lately, is that there's this book out there called like Great CEOs Are Lazy, and it's like it's about like and not that I really personally think that you're lazy or I'm lazy, but there is this element of when you get to that level, right? When you get to the level of where you're at in that leadership role, it's almost like you have more free time than you've ever had in your life.
It's true. I say that. I mean, I have found that when your team is in place, and I think the more you can empower your people, the better, the more choices they're enabled to make. Like I would prefer people make choices, even if I don't agree with them, they run them by me and say, this is what I did, the old beg for forgiveness versus ask for permission. They'll say like, this is what I did. You okay with that? And on occasion I'll say, ooh, might have crossed that line. Might not be quite what we should have done. It's done now. When you did the right thing, making a decision, here's what you might have looked at. Maybe just look through this lens and think of this possibility. But good job for the most part. Most of our staff here are empowered.
And sorry to interrupt, because I want to get this, I'm going to forget it. And I think that's like where, and I don't know how you get people from the person, because in this world today we live in, and I don't feel you're one of these people. People are so fucking busy. They can't do anything. Like I'll message someone and say, hey, do you want to get together for lunch or something? It's like, yeah, in like 3 months I have like an hour. It's like, what the fuck is that? It's like, I've always felt that you and I have been able to be like, hey, like, what are you doing for lunch? Like, we just book it like immediately, essentially, right? It's not like this big long, I can't do this, I can't do this. It's like, and so I think people are wearing that busyness as like a badge of honor. And it's something I've really been leaning into, is that you can have everything that you want, and you don't have to be like running around with like a chicken with your head cut off. And I find that like some of the most successful people that I know are the people that are able to answer texts, go to a dinner last minute, like whatever. Like it's just like they have freedom, and that's the thing that everyone kind of wanted. And that freedom comes from that empowerment that you're talking about, and then just making sure that that team stays empowered, stays motivated, stays aligned with the task. And if you do that, then there's not too much to do at the top.
I have a fun analogy for that.
Yeah.
So I can hear it.
Yeah, I'd love to hear it.
So like you ever see a big old oil tanker crossing the ocean? You see him come through the Drake River the odd time. So the captain who's driving that boat, I would say probably has quite a bit of responsibility, especially if they end up hitting another boat. There was an example in Baltimore there, somebody hit a bridge. Yeah. You saw the one, in Italy where they hit the rocks and it was all tipped over and people, they could have been hurt, of course. I think some people did pass on. But in a much simpler form, the vast majority of the time, and I'm going to say 95% of the time when those oil tankers is crossing the ocean, it's pretty calm seas, the boat's made for it, the navigation's set, the engines work, and the boat drives itself, pretty much. If everything's designed properly, you have the right people in place. So who looks like they're working harder on that ship? The crew down there, and I don't know all the roles they do, but somebody's below deck. Sure. I don't think they're shoveling coal anymore, but somebody's doing something down there, fixing something, making sure the engines are functioning properly, cleaning this, keeping all that stuff working. And what is the captain doing? By and large, looks like they're just sitting on a big chair, looking out the window at the sea. However, if that boat hits an iceberg, they are to blame 100%. Yep. And if that boat, hits the shoreline and then every so often in rough seas, the captain it is not easy anymore. They have to take that wheel and figure it out. And this is the time where you're tested. Yeah. This is where the experience comes in. And now you've got the tough job. Mm-hmm. You're going to make sure all these lives get to the harbor safely. And that's how I can kind of view it. Once you have all the pieces in place, you still have to be the ultimate responsibility. However, if everything's functioning on all 8 cylinders, then the job does look kind of easy. Yeah. And you see it all the time with like, sports stars that like we all envy, and you're like, that pitcher, that we just concluded the World Series a couple of weeks ago or a week ago. And it's like, you can break it down to, I did it one time just because I don't know why I like this stuff. It's something like the pitcher's making like $40,000 per pitch. Yeah, right. And we devalue all the work and experience and life knowledge, maybe not life knowledge in their case, but like all of the experience and work that went into that. And we just reduce it to, it's $40,000 a pitch. That's so easy. Look how easy it is for Verlander to throw that pitch. And that's not it. But it's easy to value and say it looks easy, but they can make it look easy because they're just dialed in that good. And I'm not dialed in that good here where it looks easy, but I'm certainly, we've gotten to a point with a phenomenal team who knows their role, that they're out there right now. And I bet you if I open the door right now, there's not going to be 5 people spilling through the door saying, what do we do?
Just imagine there was, though.
Well, that would be ironic.
What the fuck are you doing with your time, James?
James, we've been calling the phone. It's been off the hook. What are we going to do? There's literally the place is burning down.
Literally, there's a fire in the back. Yeah, couldn't fucking get through to you. No, I get it. Yeah, and I think that's a great analogy. And I think the other thing about that is the longer you're the captain of the ship, the longer that you're okay in those rough seas, right? And so the rough seas even become second nature, right? And it's like I've kind of go through that at Lingo Vita. It's like, we've gone through multiple like swings of money coming in, money going out, and to my wife, it's like stressful as hell. But to me, I'm like, we're going to be fine. Like I see the vision and I see it's all going to be. So it's like, even in those rough seas, I'm calm. And that's when you really get to that space of like making it look easy, essentially. Right. And so, I think that's like a really amazing analogy. And I think this is like an awesome conversation, man. It's like,
couldn't agree more.
Yeah. Like, and so it's like, I'm really interested in like the inner workings of like, people that are at high levels, because I think there's little things that have, allowed a lot of people to become successful and then remain successful and be okay in that success.
Yeah. You know what I think though, that one piece has been left out, like I know you're going to edit this video, you're probably going to edit out the part that I'm referring to here right now. Yeah. There's some of these super duper successful people that like, if you had the opportunity to talk to them, and I'm certainly not one of them.
Yeah.
I'm a small pond, but like you look at like saying Elon Musk or
Yeah.
these billionaire type folks who have it all as far as I see, and they don't sleep and they don't stop working. So like, and they don't make it look easy; they make it look tough.
Yes.
Because I mean, he literally just landed that rocket that caught itself in a bracket.
Yeah.
And like I can't pretend to understand that, but I think some of those visionaries just like they can't sleep.
Yeah.
And they just want to achieve and be the first to this and get into space. And it's like, I'm already a bordering on a trillionaire, some of these guys.
Right.
And it's like, well, so what makes you tick?
What makes you tick, yeah.
And I think that, so what an important lesson that maybe I'd want to get out of some of your talks is just like be able to identify and be aware of what you are and who you are.
Yeah.
And say like, is there a means to an end? Like, do you want to coast? Because I saw a guy one time who was highly achieved, like very, very successful. Somebody that I looked up to and said, wow, it'd be so awesome to be like him. And somebody asked him and says, hey, why didn't you ever invest overseas? Like you just kind of kept it local. You kept it kind of like in your own backyard, but there's so much opportunity that you overlooked. Mm-hmm. And the person said, well, really, how much do you want? Like you're only here for, if you're lucky, 80, 90 years. Mm-hmm. So how much additional do you want? Like both in material, but he's like, you got to figure out when to enjoy it. Yeah. So figure out what you need to enjoy it. Like if your success, whether that be financial or fitness or whatever it is, like be able to identify it. Like, do you want to, like if you're getting into business, if you're getting into sports, whatever it is, like, are you actually going to enjoy it and sit back and really, really love the achievement, or are you just going to be thirsty for it? And it's okay if you are, because some of the people that we all look up to just keep clawing for more and say, I just want more power, more whatever, money. I'm not sure what it all is, but like, I know for me, I love cutting out early on Wednesday and playing around a golf. Yeah. And a lot of people don't in my position, and a lot of people don't in your position. Yeah. But I think winning, $50 on the golf course against one of my friends is funner than making possibly 10 times that or 1,000 times that doing your job, which I also love. I love my job. However, a lot of folks watching this might be invested in the stock market. Mm-hmm. And I get such a kick out of it because I've had it where I was pissed off a guy didn't give me a 2-foot putt, which, by the way, if you're a golfer, never get pissed off about not having a putt given to you, because you don't deserve it if you can't make it. Yeah, that's so go make that putt. But I've done it. I've been guilty, and somebody didn't give me a 2-footer, and I'm like, oh, it cost me $20. I'm more mad about that $20 that I lost. Oh yeah. Meanwhile, you could look at the market, and it's up like so many points, and you made that times 50. Yeah. And you're still pissed off about the $20. Oh yeah. And I think at the root of that, I like to compete. Yes. I do. I like to win at things, and I ask if you're to ask Anne Marie. When I leave golf and I call her on the way home, and she doesn't even have to, like, I don't have to say more than 2 words. And she knows if I won or lost. Yeah, it's true. Yeah, no, I'm the same. And I try not to take it too seriously, but it is like I want to win as well. And it's not even so much like I want to beat somebody, but it's more so about like I just want to show up and do my best as always. And so it's like if I don't, then I will go into that like hard on myself, but I've learned to kind of be like gentler over the years, and so I think another way to rephrase that is I don't ever mind somebody beating me. I just don't want to beat myself. Yeah, that's it. Oh yeah. And that gets back to that 2-footer, the knee knocker. Probably, if anybody watches this, that golfs with me, I'll probably never get another gimme putt. They now know that I'm totally terrified of 2-footers. I actually just missed a freaking 2-foot putt yesterday. I was pretty pissed about it. Me too. Yeah. Total lippo. Well, we have to schedule our rematch because you took $30 from me last time we played also. So no. I got it framed. Yeah. Bastard. It's on the mantle. You probably got the scorecard at your house and you just wake up every morning and look at it and go, there's that time. I bow to the scorecard before my shower. Beat Dave Oz. Motherfucker. He's like, you come out to Beach Grove and he says, oh, I can never score here. Do you want to play a game for fucking this much money? Oh, sure. Thinking he can never score, and then he fucking shoots a fucking 74. Those greens, bastard. Those greens are so small, though. They're really hard to hit. You got to have the iron game. I must have had the iron game going that day.
Yep.
I don't remember it because
You got to be you got to be dialed in at that Beach Grove.
You know, it's funny.
Hit those greens.
It just even on that, like you brought up the time that you're a little bit programmed like me, because remember early in the conversation, focus on success versus dwell on defeat. But people, Tom Brannigan, he's a consultant here. He comes in and consults with the dealership.
Yeah.
And, just shows us how to get better, how to engage people, things like that. And he showed all the managers your report card. Mm-hmm. And the report card, he put it up on like a computer screen or something like that, showed it to us on a monitor. And, just said, observe it. So it's like a child's report card. It looks just like A, B, C, D, blah, blah, blah. And you didn't even see the subjects. It didn't matter. But like he said, what'd you guys see? And there was, I can tell you right now, there was a couple A's, a couple B's, maybe a C, whatever. And there was for sure an F. And what'd you see? What do you think everybody said?
Yeah.
First thing, I saw that F. Yeah. I saw that F. Yeah. And that's what we do for ourselves. We focus on our screw-ups. Yeah. We're focused on failure. Mm-hmm. And we're also focused on the failure of our people. So if you have that one employee, like I have an employee here, and I'm not saying this is the right way to do it because it shows the junior staff that it's okay to show up late, but he shows up late almost every day. Yeah. Almost every day he shows up 15 minutes late. Yeah. However, he stays 3 hours after his shift.
Sure.
Every day, pretty much. So it's like, how much do you want to fight that? Like, technically speaking, we have an expectation. Yeah. And you ignore it for the most part. However, your performance is off the charts and you stay way beyond what we require you to. So I don't ever even say a word. I just laugh and say, oh, it must be 9:15. So-and-so's here. I'm gonna leave.
Yeah, 100%.
But he's a star. And I guess your stars need to be treated like stars.
Yeah, 100%. Let's tell one more funny story of Ken.
Yeah, fire away.
Let's. I want to tell one, and then you tell one. We'll see if it's the same one.
Okay.
All right. So the one I have so many, but the one I remember was I have two stories. I'm gonna tell them both because I just think they were so funny. One was cars used to come. I don't know if they still do with like this plastic on them.
Yeah, right? Not anymore.
Okay, so we used to peel the plastic off all of these cars. Actually, there's even a better story than that. Anyway, so one day we peeled the plastic off all the cars and we built it into a soccer ball.
Like a Pee Wee Herman rubber band ball.
Yeah. And then we're in the back thing playing soccer against the thing, and one of us kicks it and goes right through the window. And
window of the building or window of a car?
Window of the bay.
Oh,
the
gosh. Yeah, the big.
And then Tim, who probably still works here.
Tim's here. He's a rock star.
Yeah, he comes back and like I know now looking back at I used to think Tim was an asshole, but now I know like we were probably like
he just didn't put up with assholes.
Yeah, he just didn't put up with little bastards fucking kicking soccer balls. So anyways, he comes back there, he fucking snatches the fake soccer ball away from us. He's like, why don't you guys focus on getting some fucking work done? And I was like, shit. And then my knee-jerk reaction was, you're not my boss, fuck you. But then it was like, yeah, right. He's probably right. But the other one that that has to be probably the funniest story of my entire life at Knapp Fords is when there would be snowstorms here, we were responsible for cleaning all the cars off. So we'd be out there fucking sweeping all the cars. So one of the salesmen, I want to say his name, he's out there having a cigarette. And James and I are in the back. We're cleaning off these cars and we start hucking snowballs at him. Like we're hiding in the car. So he's just having these cigarettes and like the bombs are falling all around. And so then all of a sudden we're hiding. We throw a snowball. We hide and laugh. We're laughing. And so we're like, we get up and we look and he's not there anymore. We're like, oh fuck, where'd he go? And if we turn around and he's running at us, like he's running like he's gonna kill us.
He was flanking.
I don't know. I'm pretty sure it was you, but you have a snowball in your hand and you just turn around and you whip it. Or I did.
Didn't miss his face.
No, like right in his face. Right in the face. And oh God. I still, it's so funny to me to just think about this guy out here smoking cigarettes and snowballs are dropping like bombs and then gets smashed in the face. I died laughing. I still die laughing thinking about that.
I think being a lot porter at a car dealership is such an amazing coming of age job.
Oh God.
For young people. I mean, the fact that we have surveillance cameras and all the extra security around here now kind of takes the fun out of it. But yeah, we were knuckleheads for sure.
Do you have a story?
Do I have a story about those old days? There was the tonneau cover story with Jake Fairburn and I.
Oh, fuck.
Is one that I would probably.
That was hilarious. Tell that story.
And this is probably the closest I ever did come to getting fired from my dad's business, which it's hard to do unless you're actually stealing or doing drugs like on site. But I gave it my best try with this one. So Jerry was a service manager, but he was a pretty decent guy, and he was there fixing some stuff on Saturday, so service wasn't open on Saturday. And Jake and I were supposed to be cleaning this F-150 and had a tonneau cover on the back, like one of those fold tonneau covers.
Yeah.
And it had like a hard steel bar across the back of it.
Yeah.
So actually it was one of those old fiberglass ones that would lift like on the angle, like whatever 30-degree angle or whatever it is. It would have like the hydraulics in it, but it would also have like a lock bar along the inside of it. So that's how it locked. So that bar, that's what the hard bar was across. So anyway, Jake and I decided, you know what? We're going to prank, because we were big pranksters, as you know, even with snowballs.
Oh, yeah.
So we got in the back of this truck and we're lying like on our backs looking up. And what we're going to do is when we hear Jerry get back to work next to us in the bay next to us, we're going to pop the lid on this tonneau cover and we're going to scare the crap out of him. So that was the big plan. It was a stupid plan. Sure enough, Bob Blair, our boss, comes looking for us. And you just know the way Bob used to talk.
Oh, yeah.
And
100 miles an hour.
Yeah, so he'd come back there, he says, boys, where's those boys at? And the boys, Jake, James, where's Jake and James? I know they were. And you can hear him. He's actually dictating what he's about to do while he's about to do it. So we can hear him right through the tonneau cover.
Yeah.
So he says, these boys, they were working on this truck. And I don't know what inspired him. He started lifting on the tonneau cover. He started to lift on that tonneau cover.
And you guys are laying in there.
So we're laying in there. Well, how bad does that look? If like it basically, I don't know, like I'm totally open-minded, but do we look gay?
Yeah, right.
I don't know. We're going to be two guys
laying in the back of the
truck, underneath the truck, and
fuck.
underneath this tonneau cover. And like, are we sleeping? Like, what is this going to look like? I guess we try to tell the story that we're going to scare Jerry, but it's still not good.
Yes.
It's still not a good thing to be doing. So anyway, Jake and I both instinctively grab the lock bar and doing like a chin up on it. So we're holding the tonneau cover shut. And I'm like actually elevated. I'm holding this thing so hard. So like my body is actually on an angle in the back while I'm holding it. So this tonneau cover doesn't come up.
Now, are you guys holding back the dying of laughing, or are you scared shitless?
I'm scared. I'm scared. I don't know about Jake. You'd have to ask Jake about that. But Bob's actually, and the thing is like, if something's actually locked, it doesn't budge.
Yeah.
But because we're on it, it's kind of budging.
Yes.
So like it might have lifted up like a quarter inch and then like reef it back down. Like you can kind of flex your body and get it to come back. So he actually had it up a little bit and it snapped back down. He must have known we were back there. Anyway, we didn't get caught. He never mentioned it. I never mentioned it. And that was the last time we hid in a tonneau cover to scare Jerry Reno.
Yeah. Oh yeah. We had a ton of fun. And it's like, but it's kind of like a part of like coming of age. And it's like, you gives you a better understanding, and it does, just because you're a screw up doesn't mean that you can't work your way out of that.
Yeah, it's pretty harmless stuff.
It was all harmless.
I mean, that's
no one ever really got hurt. Really.
No, that's the like
few injuries maybe here and there.
People goof off here today. As a matter of fact, I got my little soccer ball on my desk.
Yeah.
What I do with the soccer ball, I don't know if employers are supposed to do this. Probably not. But I walk around and I actually throw the soccer ball at people when they're unsuspecting to test the reflexes. And I just have fun with it. I just, and I'll just say, we're not recruiting you for the SEAL Team 6, Knapp 4 team.
See those reflexes.
Yeah, just check and see how they are in case we ever need to recruit people for like a,
some sort of group
SWAT team.
Oh, yeah.
If we ever need like a SWAT team, just in case. We're always planning for Armageddon just in case.
Yeah.
So I throw the soccer ball to test reflexes, and I can tell you Noah, not on the team. He's the service advisor in the back. Have you ever seen Noah?
He's not catching it.
He can't catch that little foam soccer ball. And he's like 20-year-old guy. I chuck that thing at him from every angle. He's never caught it once.
He's just at his computer, just whizzing by his side.
Yeah, seriously. And every time I walk through service now, he's ready, and he still can't catch it.
Yeah, that's good. It's good to have that playfulness. I think.
One of our values is fun.
Yeah.
So I think that if you're not having fun, like it's not that serious. Mary always says, if we do screw up.
Yeah.
I mean, we do some pretty important stuff on fixing cars. Like obviously, you need to put a car back together properly. Yeah. But by and large, we don't save lives. We're not neurosurgeons.
Yeah, right.
If we make a small mistake, we can learn from it and get better.
Get it fixed. Yeah.
So we can have some fun.
Thanks, brother.
Thank you.
That was fun.
Yeah,
that was
good.
Yeah, right on.
All right, cheers.
Cool.